In this video, you will learn how to integrate Stripe payment system in your Flutter application. Learn how to create Stripe account, and then from your Stripe dashboard how you can check all the payments made through your Flutter application. Create a new Flutter project, and then from here make sure that project is selected. Then go to the pub.dev site and simply search for the package Flutter Stripe. Go to installing and simply copy this dependency, which we have to paste inside the pubspec.yaml. Click pub-get. Then go to the Android app build.gradle, and here you will see this minimum SDK. This minimum SDK must be 21 or greater than 21. For example, in my case, I set it to 24. Then go to the settings.gradle file, and the Kotlin version must be latest. Simply Google for Kotlin version, and we have to get the Kotlin new version from here. So you can simply replace it here. Now all these steps are according to the documentation of Flutter Stripe. If you scroll here, you will see. Next thing is to set the themes. src, main, res, and then we have values, styles.xml. Remove this line, and here we have to paste the theme. Open up this example first and copy this line from here, and simply we have to paste it here. Then go to the values night, styles.xml. We have to replace this one also with our example night theme. So open it up, copy this, and simply paste it here. Now the next step is to have a Gradle updated version, which must be 8 or greater than 8. So for example, if you open up this example, here you will see this distribution URL. Copy this distribution URL, and in here in our Android Gradle wrapper.properties, remove this one and simply paste it here. Go to the settings.gradle and this Android application version, update it to the latest one, which is 8.3.2. Then go to the Android app src main Kotlin main activity. Remove this, and according to the documentation we have to add Flutter fragment activity. So open this example, and from here copy this line of code and then paste it here. Next step is to create a file by this name, the Android app. Inside the app folder, right click on it, new file, where you have to paste this piece of code. So the setup has been completed. Now we have to simply go to the build Flutter build APK. If the APK is built successfully, it means we are good to go. APK built successfully, which means we have successfully completed the setup for Stripe payment. Now here you will see some suggestions in the console, that is Stripe Android requires NDK this version, which they also give you is a suggestion. So copy this alongside with the double quotes and go to the Android app build.gradle, and here inside the Android you have NDK version. Simply you can replace it with this. Make sure that these are inside the double quotes, and then you can go ahead and run the Flutter clean command first. Then Flutter pub-get, and then you can build the APK. So the APK built successfully. Now let's begin the implementation. So in the lib we have our main.dot, which comes with the default code, which we do not need. So we will minimize it and we will simply remove it. Remove these extra comments from here, and as well as remove this const my home page. We will create a new dot file. Right click on lib new dot file. We will give it name as home_page. You can give it any name you want. we will import the material dot and we will create stateful widget. Now basically we are going to add a basic UI in which we will have just a button on which the user will click. Now let's open up the emulator and test our application. Now go to the main.dart and make sure to first add here the initial page, which is our home page. Let's install the app on the phone. So this is the basic UI pay now button. Now also for the amount, let's say we will initialize here a double data type variable by the name amount. Let's say the amount we want to charge is 20, and we will display this amount also on the button. So we can say amount dot to string. Make sure to remove this const modifier from the text. Simply go to Google and search for Stripe. The first one, which is Stripe official site, click on it and then click on Start Now. And here you have to fill out the sign up form, that is for creating a brand new account by providing your email, full name, your country and your password, and then click on the create account button. Then verify your email. So go to your email and simply click on the button in order to verify it. Once it is verified, then come back to the main tab and here we go, your account is created successfully. Now let's quickly sign in to the Stripe account. Write email, password and sign in. Now what we can do is you have to simply click on this developers, then click on API keys, copy this name. By the same name we are going to basically create a variable on the home page and we will give it name as publishable key, and to this we will assign the key which we have here. This is called publishable key. If you click on it, it will be copied and then simply here inside the double quotes you can paste it. After this comes the next step, which is the secret key. So copy this and let's create a variable by the same name, and this is basically this key. Click on it and it will reveal it. You have to simply copy it. If you click on it, it will be copy and then paste it inside the double quotes. After this you can simply go to the main.dart and here we will make this void main asynchronous and we will initialize the widget binding, that is the widgets. So we can say widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized. Right click on lib, new, create a dot file by the name keys, and from the home page our publish key and secret key we will move that to our that keys file. Okay, just move it here like this. So now what we can do is on the main.dart after widget flutter binding dot ensure initialize, what we can do, we can simply say stripe dot publishable key, and to this we have to assign our key which is publishable key, which is on the keys.dart file. Then we can say wait stripe.instance.apply settings. Now when the user click on the pay now button, we have to initiate the payment, that is we will display the payment sheet. So for that purpose, as you know, this button we have it here on our home page. So we will call here a method by the name payment sheet initialization, and to this we will pass the amount. So amount comma, then the next thing is the payment, in which currency it is. So let's say it is USD. So the amount will be charged in USD. Now keep in mind that if your amount is in double data type format, that is, it is in points, then make sure that you first write double dot parse the amount, that is, it must be in double data type format, and we have to round off. Now let's implement this payment sheet initialization. Above here the widget built. So you know that it receives two things as parameter. One is the amount to be charged from user, and the second thing is the currency in which that amount will be charged from user. Let's add the try catch block. Error msg, s. If k debug mode, then simply we will print exception s, or you can say like here, that is, print the error message. Now the first thing that we will do is to create the intent for payment. You can give it name as make intent for payment. To this method we will pass the amount to be charged and the currency, and the result which it will bring, we will assign it to the map string dynamic type map by the name intent payment data. Now let's implement this method. Let's add a try catch block. Now here basically we will communicate with the Stripe API in order to make the payment. So the payment will be either successfully charged, or it will return error. So initialize a map of type string dynamic by name payment info. In here define three keys. One is amount, colon, and then currency. Please use the same spelling. This is according to the Stripe documentation, Stripe payment documentation. And then the payment method types. So the amount simply means the amount to be charged, in which currency you want to charge the user, and then of course the type, which is card. Then we will send request to the Stripe API. The response will come from the API, which we will assign to this response variable. So we can give it name as, for example, response from Stripe API. We can send request using HTTP. So let's add the dependency HTTP. Let's click pubget. Now let's send request. So we can say import here the package which we just added, which is http dot as HTTP. So we can say wait http dot post. Now here we have to pass our API endpoint for Stripe. So if you go to the documentation for the Stripe, you can type this URL, press enter, and it will redirect you to this payment intents, the one which we are following. So when we send a request, this is how we get the response from the API, which include this whole information. As you can see, we get this whole information from the Stripe API as a response. The endpoint which we will be using is this one. If you click on it, it will even give you the complete endpoint. Copy this endpoint and simply come here, and in here you can paste it. This is our endpoint. URI.parse, comma, then comes the body. The body is basically the payment info. Then headers, In the headers we include authorization, bearer space, then our key, which is basically secret key. Then the content type, content dash type colon, inside the double quotes we can say application slash x dash www dash form dash URL encoded. So this is how we send the request to the Stripe API. When the request is sent, the response comes, which is assigned to this response from Stripe API variable. So after that we will print out that response from Stripe API. Then as you know that the response which is coming from the Stripe API, we have to decode it as it is in encoded form. So in this way we make intent for payment. Now let's complete the payment sheet initialization. So we can say wait stripe dot instance dot init payment sheet. Payment sheet parameters, set up payment sheet parameters. And just to show you guys the example, you can see the documentation here. Okay, this is how we can do it. For example, the parameters are allow delay payment modes true. Then comes the payment intent client secret, which is our intent payment data client underscore secret. Then comes the theme, so theme mode dot dark light or system. So we will proceed with the dark theme. And then the merchant display name, it can be your name or let's say your company name. So for example, you can write here company name, let's say example. You can write your name here, of course. So these are payment sheet parameters. Now we can say dot then value print value, and then after it we can display the payment sheet. So we can say show payment sheet. Let's quickly implement this show payment sheet. Let's add a try catch block, display the error message in the debug mode and using print here directly as well. Also, one more thing is we have to add here the Stripe exception catch, the exception, or you can say error message. So we say if care debug mode print error, show dialog context comma builder alert dialog content for which will be cancelled. In the try block we can simply say where stripe.instance.present payment sheet dot then value to the intent payment data we will assign null dot on error to handle the error. So we can say error msg comma stake trace. So if care debug mode print error message dot to string plus stake trace dot to string. Now one thing which we have to do is in here in our make intent for payment, make sure to remove this comma s from the catch block, and then when the user click on this button, you know that we pass the amount. Now as you know that this amount is already in double data type, so for that purpose there is no need to convert it back to double, okay, as it is already in double form. So what you can do is, instead of this, you can directly simply say amount dot round, okay, and you have to make sure that it is in string form. So first it will round the double value, that is, it will remove the points, it will round off the figure, and then it will convert it to string. And then in our make intent for payment, this amount we have to make sure that it is in integer form since we round it off. So you can say int.parse and then our amount to be charged. Multiply it with 100 dot to string, where we make intent for payment. And you know that this is basically the pop-up, or you can say the dialog, which will appear where the user will enter their card details. So we have to add wait keyword here. We have to wait for it. So this is all about how we display the payment sheet. Now we can simply test the application. So now if we click on Pay Now button, it will display us the payment sheet, as you can see. Then in here you have to write your card details, and then the expiry date, and then the CVC, and then the country, your billing address, and then you can simply click on the pay button. As you can see, the amount which we want to charge from the user, it appears here in the payment sheet, pay this amount. So if you click on this pay, processing done successfully, as you can see. Now for example, if I change the amount just for the testing purposes, let's say this time the user wants to pay 156, let's say. Install the app on the phone, click on Pay Now button. So you can see that pay 156. So write your card details. If your information is correct, of course you will be allowed. Otherwise it will prompt an error message. For example, you can see your card number is invalid. So you have to write the correct card number. Or let's say if your card is expired, it will show you your card expiration year is invalid. So you have to write the correct expiration date. And then your CVC, and then the zip code. So now click on pay, processing done successfully. And here we go. Here you can see, if you go to the Stripe dashboard and click on the transaction, then here you will see the transaction which is succeeded successfully recently for 20 USD and 156 USD.